Greetings, this is Eduardo Jumbo. In this tutorial, JavaScript will be used to format date objects, brought to you from the jumboshop.com Learning JavaScript course. JavaScript makes it easy to use the built-in date format. You can use the date format to display the current date, time, or a specified date and time. Or jumboshop.com Learning JavaScript course web ID can be used for the tutorial and also inspired this tutorial. As you know, JavaScript runs in a web browser for client-side interactive or automated web applications. It can also be used offline, as in embedded platforms running outside the web browser. I've done tutorials on this using Node.js, Story, and others. So for this particular tutorial is a continuation from the last tutorial where we created date objects. So the problem with the date objects is that they might not be formatted to your particular liking. For example, you might want to manipulate them further. But in this case, for this tutorial, we're just going to display the date in different ways. So that's the most basic formatting. It's all built-in. You don't have to do anything. So for example, what we're going to do here is you might want just the string. To use toString, you get the data object as a string. You might want it, or you might only want the date string part of it. So you can use toDate string. You might only want the time, you do this. And if you want the ISO format, by default, JavaScript uses the ISO 8601. It's a simplified version of that ISO standard. So that standard was established actually in 1988 and was last updated in 2022. So the format for what JavaScript outputs is, it will give you this format. So this is the year, four characters, then 2 for the month, 2 for the day, and then the time, hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. And then the last part here is the time zone or your current locale. Usually it's done in UTC format by default. But you in your particular locale, you might maybe use GMT time or different time zones and all that. So we touch on that briefly here. So continuing on here, we have the locale string. This will be based, for example, I'm assuming you're running a web browser. So your locale will be whatever your web browser outputs. Most likely when you installed the operating system and the web browser, whether it's a mobile phone or desktop or tablet, doesn't really matter. It will use the whatever is detected from your device. Sometimes you might only want the date. Again, there's a date string in locale and your time in locale as well. And then here's a useful one. Also, maybe you want to manipulate it further, or you want to send it somewhere else. So you can also get it in a JSON. It will be date to be formatted in a JSON format. And maybe you want a U2C again, but in milliseconds since 1970, January 1st, 1970 at midnight. So you can get that, but you need to add the you need to supply the the year, month, and day at the minimum to get the milliseconds. Obviously, if you add more time, like the hour, minute, second, and milliseconds, you get those milliseconds. You can get the code snippet clicking here. This is just a screenshot of the tutorial for today, and this is the output, and this is the video. So let's switch over to jumboshop.com and begin this tutorial. So I'm using the object declaration from the chapter 8 objects. As usual, you can always copy and paste the code snippet or as much code as you want. So let's create a variable. TD stands for new date, basically time. That's a constructor to create a data object. Now we're going to do the date format. First one will be to string. Second one will be to date string. Then we'll do to time string. Then we'll do to the ISO string. Then we'll do to locale string. Now that to locale string, we can pass in, for example, if you're in the States, or if you're outside the States and you want to see what the format for United States is, that's the one. And if you're somewhere else, like and maybe you're Canadian, it would be in English, and so forth. If you're in Great Britain or United Kingdom, whatever they call it, yeah, you can do the same thing. You can then also get the locale date string, and you can also get, if you only want the time string, perhaps you want the JSON. And you can also get the milliseconds since 1970. So I'll put in just some integers here. Okay, then we can compile this. As you can see, the first one here, this is the default date. And then when I can get the string version of it, and this is the string here. Then I can get just the date part, which is here. I can get the time part, which is this. You see it's a GMT Eastern Standard Time. If I want the ISO string, I put that in there, and this is the ISO format. If I want a locale, this is the default locale. Oh, sorry, I apologize. This is the ISO format. As you can see, it puts the Z there with the milliseconds, which is not in the default times. This is the US, this is the default locale, which is the US, I guess based on my browser. And then this is the, if I specify the US English, this is what I get. If I put the Canada version, this is what I get. So you can specify what locale you actually want. And then of course, if I only want the date part, I can get that, and the time part, I get that. If I want to convert it to JSON, the actual date object, this is what it is. You can see it's very similar. If I believe it's exactly the same as this ISO. Yeah, it's the ISO format, ISO 8601. And if I want the milliseconds since 1970 midnight, January 1st, up to this particular date I've entered here, and this is the milliseconds. Go back to the article, to jumbo.com/javascript-date-format. It's also in the description. This is the video you're watching now. And you can, JavaScript is open source. And then if you want to learn JavaScript, I have a course on jumboshop.com. It's interactive. All you need is just a web browser, and it's available for you 24/7. If you have any questions or concerns, you can contact me and I'll be able to reply. You can use a contact form on jumboshop.com. I also have a book version of this course. The book version obviously won't come with JavaScript and an IDE or text editor. However, it's available in either paperback version, meaning you have a physical copy, or if you want the ebook for your reader, it's available on Amazon. Both of these are also, the links are in the description. And as here for this article under references, you can see the Learning JavaScript course on ojamboshop.com, Learning JavaScript paperback on Amazon, Learning JavaScript ebook on Amazon. And if you want custom one-on-one tutorials, maybe help with making some applications for the web, mobile, or desktop, or maybe just a website. Maybe you're trying to add e-commerce or shipping, logistics, anything custom. I can help you with that. Be sure to subscribe for more content. If you have any requests, let me know. I'm actually thinking of starting live stream, and where you can ask questions, I can answer them all. Let me know if you're interested in that as well. Thank you.